All right, so welcome to Why Rush Racing. I'm Charlie Hawkins. I have Mr. Phoenix Wolf here today. Phoenix, welcome. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. How about yourself?
Oh, I am doing amazing, mainly because I think it's without dispute that Phoenix Wolf is by far the coolest name I've had here in studio.
I appreciate it.
What part of it do I not like? Like the Phoenix, like rise from the ashes and all that, or the Wolf? I mean, it's cool. So, anyways, I guess where did that name? How did it come about?
I believe it was an old-time actor, River Phoenix. I know he played on Stand By Me.
I've heard of that guy. Yeah.
Stand By Me. So I'm pretty sure that's where the Phoenix come from.
Oh, okay, and Joaquin from Gladiators and several others too.
Probably, yeah.
So okay, so. Anyways, well, glad you're here.
Appreciate it. Yeah, appreciate you having me on the show.
For those that may not know, I kind of guess we actually kind of unofficially met. Yeah. This past weekend.
Yes.
We were at the Missouri race, and he said, "Hey, stop by." I said, "Hey, enjoy your show." I'm like, "Where do you live?" He says, "Rogersville." I'm like, "Uh-oh, you want to come on the show?" So here he is. So I'm really glad you told me that you enjoy the show, and two, you can make it here. We have a great show for you guys today. I think we do at least. In addition to Mr. Phoenix Wolf here, we also have Nick Fahringer coming on, and with that, it's like hard enduro season right now, right? We had Bad Medicine. Then 2 weeks later we had Battle of the Goats, and then 2 weeks later after that we have TKO, right? And so it's been a lot of hard enduro talk, and well, honestly, I think it's quite deserved, mainly because you've had the GNCC's been going on since February, March. Sprint Enduros has been going on for a while now, but hard enduro season's hot and heavy right now.
Yep.
So super excited to have that on. For you guys at home watching, awesome. Thank you for watching. There's one thing I would like for you to do. If I would do it, I greatly appreciate it. And that would be share. Talk to people about it. Tell people about it. Hit that little button. That's the number one way to let people know about what's going on. With this show, they don't telepathically know that I'm on. So, but everybody's like just cruising Facebook way too much. And so, hey, make some useful stuff out of it. So anyways, if you're watching this live, thank you for watching it live, and be sure to share it. If you're not, that's fine as well. There's the podcast, and you can also watch this anytime. Be sure to like and follow on Facebook, Instagram, or whatever you guys want to do. And then most importantly, Chris Townsend, he knows what's going on. I want you guys to join me in the chat, because I think this is not just a show between me and Noah, or he's wearing the blue shirt. No, me and Phoenix here. Now I want to start calling you Joaquin. I'm getting all kinds of confused. Me and Phoenix. This is a show between me, Phoenix, all you out there, and here soon to be Nick. And if you guys have got questions, if you got input, I want your all's input on this show. This is kind of what I tell people. It's like being in the pits, right? We're talking about dirt bikes. We're talking about racing, and it's no different than before or after the race, and just having fun. So, and then we also have, hey, Dakota, it's Colton.
That's my little brother.
Oh, right on.
My middle name's Dakota, so
that's okay.
What they call me.
Cool. Well, hey, Colton, so he was in the Jeep with you when I saw you?
That was Elijah. This is my youngest brother.
Youngest, how old is he?
He is going to be 13 years old tomorrow.
Does he ride?
He does not. He's got a mini bike he rides.
We got to get you on board, dude.
He needs to get in on it.
Yeah. So, Dakota, thank you for joining us today. Hope you enjoyed the show. And yeah, thanks for letting us steal your brother for a bit. All right. So, with that, you raced last weekend. Missouri Hair Scramble, obviously. We were at the Bolivar, I call it the Bolivar South location. I talked to my family, like, I'm going to Bolivar. They're like, which one? Because they know Lou's Place was just north of town.
Yep.
And then there's Kilburn Woods, which is just south. I'm like, the south one. So, but Kilburn Woods and part of the Metter family, thank you guys for letting us come out. Yes. So Chris Townsend had comment here. I thought tonight was with Sherco. Yes, it is. But give us a few minutes. Nick Fahringer, obviously, he's rides for Sherco USA. And so he's going to be kind of like the Sherco guy. And so, yeah, if you have any Sherco questions, for sure, ask us at that point. Nick, he can answer them or whatnot. So, but yes, for sure, we'll have plenty of Sherco talk going on. But I was going to say, So yeah, how did you think of Kilburn Woods last weekend?
Well, I really like Kilburn Woods. It's probably one of my favorite places to race.
It is.
Yes, it is.
What part of the property is your favorite? So we went for people that are familiar with the property. We went counterclockwise this past weekend.
Yeah.
So go ahead.
I really like some of those rough sections. I know
do.
not too far off the start, the rocks going up the hill in between the trees and stuff. I know lots of people complained about
So that you take a hard right and start going up that hill and
it's
just rockier and rocky.
Yeah.
You like that?
I do like that. Yeah.
Okay. I enjoy the challenge. I wouldn't say I like it.
It wears me out, but I do enjoy the challenge.
You do. Okay. There you go. I'm thankful when it's dry. Like this past weekend. Well, I guess I didn't do the practice lap. I got there late. Did you do it?
I did. It was pretty slick.
It was.
Yeah, there was still a little water on the ground. It was kind of lightly sprinkling.
Were you there for, I believe it was the Hillbilly race, the second time. Were you there for that?
I would have been there, yeah.
It was pretty slick then.
It was very slick. There was come up in the woods, not too far off the finish line of this last time. And, yeah, you come around the corner, it's just mud ruts all the way up through there.
Oh, yeah.
Frame deep. It was pretty nasty.
Pretty entertaining, for sure. But so see, my favorite part for that track, I kind of like that when you're in the later part of the lap, when you're in that nice dirt and it's just so flowy, especially when you're going like parallel to the creek.
Yep.
Oh man, it's awesome. Personally, not a huge fan of that motocross section. I didn't do the practice lap, and so you come over this jump, and I thought I was like you'd be jumping over into flat ground or whatnot, but it goes like over this jump and into the whoops. And so, like, I jumped right into the face of the next whoop, or the second whoop or whatever. I don't know what it was. Of course, I was, riding stupid because I didn't take a practice lap.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I was like, ooh. And then, yeah, I'm going just perfectly fast enough to hit, like, you hit the whoop and then you land on the face of the next whoop. And it's like, and I don't know. It was a challenge. Enjoyed it. Had a lot of fun. Okay, so let's catch up on comments here. Mike Brown says, hello from the road. Flatlander crew on the way to TK. Oh, right on. So it was Flatlander. I'm guessing he's talking about the Kansas. I give those, I've said this before on the show. Like when a Kansas guy comes down here and like he's supposed to be like about my speed and he beats me, it burns me up. I'm like, you guys don't have terrain like this up where you are. It's not allowed. Noah Clark says, Vince's place was sweet at the MHSC, the Missouri Hair Scramble. Lots of new trail that freshened it up quite a bit. Absolutely. And Mr. Noah Clark, congratulations. He has continued his streak. I don't know if you know the streak or not. It's pretty unofficial, but it's starting to get out that even Steve Underwood, I think, even made a comment on Facebook about it this past week, that except for the Okie Sprint where he raced the 125, he has not lost an area race yet. However, I think that's about to change, unfortunately. Well, yeah, you're gonna be at the Lead Belt Enduro, and I think he's having one heck of a time keeping that one streak alive. Does that count? No, would that count against your streak if you're watching? I could almost make an argument that it wouldn't, but it does because it's Missouri, right? Yeah. Then Megan Keenan says, "Oh, she's going to the TKO as well. Well, good luck." So I'm curious, Mike and Megan, are you guys racing the Friday race, or are you guys just spectating, or what are you doing? Because I think that the TKO is pretty cool this year. I think they're trying to give amateurs a little bit more of an opportunity to race, and so they actually have racing now Friday, Saturday, and Sunday instead of just Saturday and Sunday. Because you had to pre-qualify, I think, or be pre-qualify or pre-approved to race on Saturday. Anyways, I'd be kind of curious to see what's going on there. Justin, no, not cool, man. He says, how much wood would a woodchuck chuck? Yep, if a woodchuck could chuck wood. Sorry, wanted to see you read it. Checking in from Arkansas. Well, thank you, Justin, for checking in. And yes, I did read it. So, yeah, that's a good question also there, Chris. Nick Fahringer, is he running the 4-stroke or 2-stroke at TKO? So that's one of the questions I have for him coming up, actually, is why did he run the 4-stroke at Roar? Because, I don't know, usually in hard enduros, you don't. So, anyways, back to you. Where are you from? Where do you live?
I live in Rogersville. I'm from Seymour.
You're from you are from Seymour.
So I'm pretty close to HHR.
Yes, you are. So you're a member out there?
I am, yes.
Oh, right on. Do you get out there much?
Try to as much as I can.
Right on. How far is it, about 40, 35 minutes from you, or how far is it?
From Rogersville, it's about 35, 40 minutes.
Yeah, right on. It's about an hour from here. So that's kind of what I was guessing. And what are you riding?
I ride a 2018 YZ450F.
450.
Yamaha, yes.
Yamaha. I don't know about them Yamis. No, no, I'm just joking. So yeah, okay. So you mentioned that a 450.
Yes.
I preach against the 450. That's my opinion, of course. But why a 450?
Sometimes I regret it when I get a little tired in the woods and I get that whiskey throttle going. It's just bike's trying to come out from underneath you, and it's just like, man, it's just what am I doing on this bike? And then other times it's like I can ride lazy. I can just roll up the face of a hill or something and just blip the throttle last second and just let it dig right on up the hill.
Yeah.
So it's got its goods and bads, but I'm a lazy rider and I got a little more weight than I should. So
No, okay.
450 pulls me good.
450 pulls you good. How much do you weigh? Can I ask?
I weigh 225.
You're not that heavy.
I feel like I am.
Yeah. And what do you wear for protective gear?
Helmet, boots, and gloves.
Okay, so we weigh about the same then, I think.
Yeah.
No, I weigh about you wear Camel Pack too?
Yes, I do.
Okay, so you wear that too. So you probably add on maybe 15, 20 pounds, right? With your gear. I add on with all my gear, I'm 30 pounds, like extra. So we're a little closer. So here's an interesting thing from Noah. He responds back, haha, thanks. The Park Hills NEPG. It's a national event, but it's halfway local, so I don't know about that one. What do you guys think? So yeah, let me know if you guys are watching. Will he lose? Because I really doubt he's going to win this coming up here at the Park Hills. Unless he wins, does he keep his streak or does it go away? What do you guys think? What do you think? Does it streak count in there, or does he kind of let that one slide?
I would say it ain't going to count, but that's just me.
It doesn't count. Well, it doesn't count, assuming he beats all the other Missouri people. How about that?
Okay, we could let that one slide.
As long as he beats all the other Missouri people, he'll let some of the pros slide. Yeah, you got to beat all the other. I guess we'll make the rule is we don't have anything because let's think here. Well, Logan Lowry's not back yet. He was a Pro 2 guy. The only other pro would have been, he's out of Kansas City. It slipped my name. Harrison Helmick. So do you know that name?
I do not.
He hasn't raced around here lately much. I think he signed up for pro one year because he was way in the back and it started downpouring. And then he was like, I want to get a further advanced row. And so he went up to the scoring people like, hey, can I move my rows? Like, only way you can move rows is if you sign up for pro and take like a Pro 2 row. He's like, all right, I'll do that. So he qualified as pro at that point. So he's the only other guy that might be a pro, but I doubt he'll be there. So if you're the first non-pro Logan or Noah, I guess we'll let it slide that this time. Chris Townsend says, so what bike do you ride? Did you ride before you rode Sherco? I don't know who that's for. That's probably, well, ask that, Chris, here in a bit whenever we have Nick on, because it's probably going to be gone from my scroll and I won't see it. Jeff Otson says he wins. Noah is on a roll. That's true. Missouri riders are awesome, and that's also true. Megan Keenan says, I'll be racing Saturday. Sunday, you have to qualify for... Oh, okay, so you can race Saturday. I'm just curious if Sunday you have to qualify for sure, but I thought you had to qualify for Saturday if you're like an amateur rider as well. We'll find out more about that. Maybe Nick knows. Chris Smith said Husky, and I think Husaberg before that. Megan Keenan also replies to say, I say he gets to keep his streak because it's not a local series, but it is a local series. It's a blackjack, right? So the lead belt is a blackjack race. All right. Back to you. So you're riding a 450. I think you're crazy, but you have your reasons. That's fine. And then what got you into racing? Because you haven't been racing that long.
I have not. No, 2017 is the first time I ever did a race before, and it was the Hillbilly Series.
Okay.
And it was Lou's Place, and my parents own an auto repair business, and I had a customer come in.
So I guess Lou's Place 2017. So really, it's not. You were just now coming up on your second year. You haven't really finished.
Yep.
Your second year yet. Lou's Place, first round of Hillbilly GP 2017.
That was my first race. Yes.
Wow. Okay.
So, and it was, as soon as I did it, I knew off the start, I was like...
Couldn't have picked a better location to start a race.
Yeah, it was a good one. I was like, man, what am I doing here? And then after I started on that first lap, I was like, you know what? I belong here.
Of course, your second race is probably a little more different.
It was definitely different.
So which would have been the 100-miler?
Yes.
Oh, okay. So you went from loose place to 100 miler. Did you know what the 100 miler was at the time?
I had never heard of it until that point. So
you hadn't up to that point.
Up
so
to that point,
did you know that you were gonna be racing 50 miles?
I did know that.
You did know that much.
I did know that, and I was looking forward to it. I wanted the challenge.
How did you do?
I broke my chain guide on the second lap. Started the second lap.
Oh, start. So you only made it 25 miles.
I only did 25. Yeah.
So your hands survived.
Yep.
Yeah. Yep. I don't know if people can see this. Like, it's bright red. Like, is that ugly?
I can see it.
That is ugly.
That's pretty deep.
My kid is kind of scared of me right now. All I have to get him to do something is put my thumb in his face. I bought some new. I think I have just the grip donuts. So I bought some new grip donuts. Hopefully this is not as bad this weekend at the Moore race. But yeah, but hands, the palms. I see some nasty palms after that first moto of the 50 miler. So, but interesting. So Megan Keenan says you got to keep the streak. Chris Townsend, Noah is hot at the moment. I think he will keep it up. And then Edward Greenlee says, Noah Clark, he is a talented young rider. And that is true. And then, Nick Fahringer is joining us. Should have had a BRP chain guide. Well, Nick, we'll be calling here before too long. So thank you for joining us early. So did you get a chain guide?
I now run a TM Design Works. I learned my lesson.
So you mean BMP or BRP, right?
BRP, yeah, that's what I mean.
No.
When we call them, it'd be BRP.
Yeah. Okay. So you do have a chain guide though?
Oh yeah. Yeah. I had to go to the plastic. I couldn't do the factory no more.
Where'd you break it at? Do you know?
I broke the tabs off my swing arm.
No, I mean, you can pick that up real quick if you want. Time out for in-studio error here. No, I mean, where in the course, do you know? Or?
I think I broke it. There was one rough section where you come around a corner and there was like a log you had to go over.
Oh, okay.
Like between a log and a rock.
Yeah.
And I think I come around and just...
Between a rock and a hard place,
buried it right into that rock,
Yeah. So. Okay. I did that. I didn't break anything, but yeah, VW last year. I ended up having to go backwards in order to get out. And speaking of 100 miler, Nick Fahringer, he's a 4-time veteran of that. I'm curious if he'll be back this year. All right, but you've only been racing for 2 years. Do you have any hobbies that you do or activities you like to do outside of racing?
For the most part, so between racing and working, I stay so busy. But I mean, coming up on deer season, I love to fish. I love to deer hunt.
Outdoors. Do you camp much? Do you ever camp at the races?
I do. I stay with my parents in the camper. If that counts. So
it counts, yeah. Now, okay, so this is a personal issue for me. Hopefully, you have the right answer. Generator or inverter for power?
Generator.
Okay, this interview's over, people. No, I tend to camp in the tent if I have my family. If it's just me, I'm inside my little camper 5x8 trailer. I did figure out having a box fan helps a lot.
Nice.
We drown out people like you with the generator.
Yep.
I love inverters. Those things are awesome. I want to check those out. Harbor Freight.
Be a little quieter for you.
Yes. There was one. I was at Cahokia last year. Oh, my God. Like Jeff Ott, he commented on it. Or he was right next to it. He commented on here earlier. They had it was a generator with no pipe. Oh my God! My earplugs did not drown it out. It was amazing. But anyways, be considerate out there, people. So you're racing Missouri Hair Scramble, obviously. You've done the Hillbillies for 2 seasons now.
Yes.
Okay. Have you done any others?
I did the Off-Road Cup race.
Okay.
And then I've done one Blackjack Enduro out there at HHR.
You did? Okay.
I did do one out there.
Yeah.
And then I tried to do one more race and I had a technical, so.
Enduros. So you've done one.
I've done one, yes.
What did you think of that format versus a hair scramble?
I really liked the idea of my dad and my brother we was able to start on the same row, so it's kind of fun being right there together on the same row, being able to go.
For sure.
But for me, when I do this coming up Blackjack Enduro, I'm probably going to be a little better at because I got more mindset of.
Which one is that?
It's going to be the one after the Hillbilly Banquet.
Oh, you can do the hardwood.
I'm going to do that one again.
Oh, okay.
Yes, the Hardwood Hills. And now I've got a better mindset, I think, if I need to push.
I really enjoy. Nope. Is that Jordan? Is that your?
That's my wife. Yes.
Your wife. Oh, hello. Thank you for joining. Thank you for letting us borrow him for the evening. Appreciate it. Jordan. She says, enjoying the show. yeah, you're both doing a great job. Well, one of us is, right? So
Yeah.
good job there in Phoenix. So there's one thing that's kind of neat about enduros is just there's a lot of variety, right? There's different formats. I mean, you could run an enduro 3 different ways at hardwood hills, right? There's only so many ways you can do a hare scramble.
Yes.
My suggestion to you is, first of all, as you get faster and you get more mental strength on as you doing it 2 years, right? What pushes you right now? Maybe you're mentally strong, but for me at least, it's the competition. Knowing I have somebody ahead of me, I need to catch him, or somebody behind me, I need to try to keep them off. But 2 that are great for you. It's a little late now, maybe to sign up because you'll be back in like road 2000. Is the Lead Belt Enduro. But coming up is actually closer for us, being a Springfield area people, is the Zinc Ranch Enduro. That's in Oklahoma near Tulsa. Amazing time. You're going to ride like 70 miles in a day. And you'll see just a variety. It's not the same lap over and over again, especially at Zinc Ranch because it's, I don't forget how many thousands of acres, but it's a bunch. And it's just a good time. And I would definitely recommend anybody out there just doing enduros. It changes your riding a bit especially because like you're running hard for 8 miles and then you get like a 10, 15, maybe 20-minute break, right? So it kind of changes. It's more of a time trial. I don't know. I enjoy them personally. So check it out. And maybe not just the hardwood one. Check some other ones out too. And yeah, the Blackjack series and then of course the 2 national ones we have right here in our back door. I would recommend to anybody to check those out. And then, so have you ever done, well, we've done the hardwood hills. Have you ever done like an enduro cross or a hard enduro?
I have not. If they would have come back this year,
you would have been there
up here. I would have done
in your 450.
Yes.
Okay, interesting. So and then, do you have any goals, short term or long term?
Short term goal is I'd like to qualify for the night moto.
Okay.
100 miler. That's kind of been a big.
You're gonna have to get in line, bud. All right, line starts behind me. All right.
So I just think it'd be a blast to get out there and do it. And
yeah, absolutely.
Looks like a ton of fun. So,
yeah.
And then long term, overall, I'd really like to improve as a rider.
So when I started as a C rider, I thought, B guys are just crazy fast and stupid. Because you're just going to kill yourself. A, forget about it. Right now, I'm a B rider. I want to be an A rider.
Yep.
I still think that pro guys are just crazy fast and stupid and they're going to kill themselves. But you never know. Do you want to be an A rider or?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
And do you have a time frame that you would like to be there by?
Next year.
Next year, you think
I'd
you got it?
To really improve myself. Yeah.
Yeah.
Coming up this hillbilly season and come back from the Missouri States next year.
Yeah, there you go. All right, so you about ready to give Nick a call?
Yeah.
So again, if you're watching, thank you, first of all, for watching. If you're listening later on and podcast and all that, again, of course, thank you. Like it, share it, all that stuff. Subscribe, especially if you're if you enjoy listening to podcasts, be sure to subscribe. But right now, if you haven't already, share it, let people know about it, and because we got Nick coming on, and we're going to talk all about hard enduros and Shercos and whatever else you guys want to talk about. Well, let's give Nick a call. I can work my phone. Uh-oh. I always pull it up ahead of time. Now it's gone. Oh, there he is. There we are.
Hello.
Hey, is this Nick Fahringer?
This is.
Nick, welcome to the show. Welcome to Enduro Talk. You're here with Phoenix Wolf and myself. I'm Charlie. And welcome. So, of course, people out there, we've already mentioned this many, many times, but Nick races for Sherco USA. And, well, Nick, thank you for joining us. Where do we find you today?
Like my physical location?
Yep. Where are you at?
I am in my garage. I'm in Ohio. That's where I live, just a little north of Dayton.
Okay.
So, just getting the Sherco 300 ready for TKO.
Which 300 is it?
The premix burner.
Okay.
I'm riding the 2-stroke.
You are? Okay. Because Sherco does make a 300 SEF, right?
Yes, the 4-stroke, which is, I don't know which my favorite bike is, but I've actually raced the 4-stroke at a number of hard enduros this year. And a lot of people want to know why, but yeah, I mix it up.
Okay. So I guess that was one of the questions that, what is his name? Well, where'd that go? I wrote it down here, but now I can't find it.
I saw the question. I don't
From
recall who asked it.
Danny Evans. He said, he said the majority of hard enduro competitors ride the 300 two-stroke, but you recently competed in a Sherco 300 SEF. What are the pros and cons of competing on a 300 four-stroke in a hard enduro? Can you give us some enlightenment on that, maybe?
Yeah. There's some easy talking points, and there's just kind of some, what kind of flavor do you like? So the Sherco 300 four-stroke is an interesting bike. It's unique to Sherco. Nobody else really makes one that I'm aware of. But when I first got on with Sherco, they really wanted me to try the bike, and I was really anti small bore bike. I don't like to rev a bike. It took me a year to put my leg over one and ride it, and it's a surprising bike. It weighs the same as a two-stroke, but it feels smaller, but at the same rate, it also has that four-stroke stability. So when you take that into the hard enduro world, you have that kind of forgiving, light power band, and you have that kind of tracking that the four-stroke inertia gives you, but you still have that flickable handling. Some of the cons are, four-strokes have more of a mechanical, engine characteristic, that kind of chunky, four-stroke throb, where a two-stroke, I kind of like to say, it has an organic power band when you're down low, just growling it around. So the four-stroke is susceptible to kind of flaming out when you're too low in the RPMs. But if you ride it aggressively, it's actually forgiving bike that's not too, it doesn't wear on you as much as, say, a 300 two-stroke.
Because you raced that at Tough Like Roar, right? The four-stroke.
Yeah, raced it at Roar, and I actually also raced it out in Idaho at the Sticks and Stones race.
Oh, that's right. Okay.
And at the Bad Medicine in Ohio.
Oh, you did there too. Oh, okay.
Yep.
Huh. Okay. So then the others, shoot, that's most of them actually, I think. So, so you were at Rev Limiter as well.
Yep.
And then Battle of the Goats this past week, and those two you would have had the two-stroke.
Yeah. Basically, the 2020 model came out and was available, and I always like to jump at the opportunity to just get something new and fresh. That I've been racing for so long, anything to kind of put a spark of like excitement in. It's like, oh, let's change bikes. Even if it's a bad idea, I'll do it.
Yeah.
And the 2020 is it's been a good idea. It's an awesome machine.
Cool. Yeah, we have a comment here from Spencer Sutton saying, just bought a 2020 SCF 300 for my son last week, and he's loving it so far. So, yes, he jumped on board with the new stuff as well. So I had a question here from Chris Smith. He said, has anything changed by being a sponsored rider through Sherco Off-Road going from Sherco Off-Road to Sherco USA?
That's an interesting question. For those that are not in the know, the Sherco importership changed hands just a matter of a month or two ago. And I want to say the original importer of Sherco motorcycles in the USA has been RYP, Ryan Young Products, based out of Kentucky. They do trials bikes, a lot of trials stuff. And Sherco is a 20-year-old company that started out with trials bikes, and more recently got an enduro bikes. Clay Stuckey is kind of a familiar name in the off-road enduro world. He's worked with a number of manufacturers. He started doing the importership and distribution of the Sherco motorcycles for several years, and kind of helped put him on the map in the U.S. And I rode for him. We've been close personal friends for quite a while, so that's kind of what got my feet wet. And I stayed heavily involved because I was so just excited about the bike. I wish I had been on it in my earlier days of competitive national enduro racing. But just due to the size of the company, the quantities that they started importing, and Clay was more or less a one-man show. His support for me is he had me on bikes, and he was just there as a good guy to get me what I needed. But I'm by no means am I a paid guy. I don't have a team around me. I'm just like anybody else with a bike in his van going to the races. But I do have support of the importer in doing that. RYP's taken back over Enduro line, and they're a much larger organization. They've got experience working with the French manufacturer, and they're extremely enthusiastic. I think they've hired, at least a half dozen new faces that are capable of, and, dealing with this market. So they're really standing tall and trying to do a good job of bringing in quality bikes and supporting them.
Okay.
So as for support, they've been too busy to really talk much about it, but they've definitely, let me know they've put it out there that they want to keep me as a part of their program, and that's all we know.
Yeah, still trying to figure all that out.
But no, I mean, everybody's enthusiastic, and I mean, I'm taking it race by race, like, doing what I love to do, and I've had fair success, and I'm optimistic about staying with a good brand on a good bike. So
yeah. So you mentioned RYP, and then Sherco is also pretty well known in the trials world for just their trials bikes. Have you ever ridden any or competed in any kind of trials competitions?
I've really had it on my to-do list that keeps eluding me to do a trials event, but I have. I've had a couple different models of Sherco trial bikes, and they are a blast. Anybody that's thought or considered, getting one to try to, is it a good cross training tool? Yes. It really teaches you things. So no, I haven't competed. I'd love to. It just seems like every time a trials event comes up on the calendar, there's some race I got to do, and that's the story of our lives as racers. Is racing really gets in the way of stuff.
yeah, it's true. And so, to me at least, when I think, especially the modern current American Hard Enduro series, I really don't think you can have a serious conversation without the kind of where it came from and how it generated without talking about you. In fact, I talked to you, I don't know if you remember or not, back it's like 2016. But I was asking about Hard Enduro because you showed up at the Ozark 100 miler, all right? And so, and I was asking you about a series or whatnot, and yours was like, well, I would love to see a series, but being a racer, I don't think I should be the one, right? As far as you leading it or whatnot. But from what I understand, correct if I'm wrong, like TKO last year or something like that, did you kind of organize like a meeting of the minds to try to kind of get this whole thing rolling?
Yeah. So for a couple of years now, there's been a lot of awesome, enthusiastic promoters coming up with these races that are harder than your average spin laps around a quad trail. And, Ozark 100 being one of them. So I've always gravitated to doing that stuff because, I'm interested in a challenge. So yeah, when we spoke at that time, I think, there were some people that were trying to, motivate me like, hey, you should promote or organize something. And I always thought it was kind of an ethical dilemma, organize, promote a series that I want to compete in.
Yep.
Where do you draw the line? It's, so, fast forward, the time had come where there was enough actual event and promoters that's like, let's organize these guys into some kind of structured series. And they were already, the American Hard Enduro guys, Drew Kirby and Will Presson, they kind of were already doing that on their own with just a label and collecting points. And it wasn't a serious thing. So I thought, hey, there's definitely a motivation. There's movement here. There's enthusiasm. So I talked to most people that I knew would be at TKO that would be interested in this, people that were relevant, all the riders, any event promoter that was there. I sort of tried to get the TKO promoters involved, but they're, let's just say they're standing on a higher step, and I don't think they were quite interested. They're actually a little turned off that I organized something that was, a
competitor of some potentially at their race.
I think it definitely felt like I was trying to compete, but I was, I'm not trying to steal a slice of the pie. I'm trying to make the pie bigger and tastier. So,
and I believe that pie is getting bigger and tastier. And I just want to say, I think there's been more attention to hard enduro in the U.S. than there's been here in a long time. Of course, I'm relatively new to the sport. Nick, you've been doing this forever. But I mean, would you agree with that? Like right now, when you're saying hard enduro, you don't think Europe. You can also think United States. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, definitely. You just look at Are you still with me?
Yeah, you cut out for a second, but go ahead.
Yeah, I juggled with a technical difficulty. Just look at the international talent we've had showing up to our races. Just the fact that Wade Young has been at all the American Hard Enduro series of rounds this year. I was thrown off guard because not thrown off guard. I was surprised because we weren't prepared to have that kind of talent there. I mean, our promotion, we can only promote as strong as, there's people who want to share stuff, but I mean, to spread the word, to have promotion, you got to have money. And we didn't invest as heavily in ourselves to make it, I'd say, worthwhile for something like that to travel as much to come to our races. It does great for our exposure, just having that name there. But typically when a high-end racer, somebody that's paid as well and is recognized and is decorated, it takes a certain amount of recognition to even show up.
Yes.
So it was definitely a move, I think, by Sherco, in that they sponsor the series and they're making such a big push in the U.S. They're like, hey, let's send a guy here that we know can win, even if, say, Cody Webb is doing this, which he had, I believe, intended at least doing some of the rounds. It didn't conflict with bigger things prior to his injury. So I don't know who would win in a race between the two of them, but it would have been a good one.
For sure. Yeah. Well, because it's like watching the Enduro cross or whatever, and it's like Cody and Colton, and then you got that gap. And I'm kind of bummed that Cody's injured, because that would have been a great battle, because they did battle at Rev Limiter, but then we had a few missed opportunities. How is it pitting with, because are you guys, you're both on Team Sherco, right? Are you guys like in the same paddock, or how does that work at the races?
I usually, we always try to keep, under the same row of tents, just for comparison's sake. If you look at the orange team, they have a semi truck with a big canopy off the truck, and they have a big skirt around it, and it, everything's short of a do not enter sign. Yes. And so you're kind of in a private zip code over there. Under the Sherco tent, everybody's welcome to come in, say hi, look at our bikes. People are sitting on our bikes. But both Wade Young and Mario Romain are very approachable, nice guys. They're two totally different characters, but I've been able to talk with both of them, and but typically when I'm at a race, I kind of keep to myself. I don't talk to other racers so much, just because I'm trying to tend to my bike, my body, and I'm easily distracted by talking, so I try not to do it too much. But even though I'm 10 years older than Wade Young, I'm still like, man, this guy is a badass. I want to talk to him about the things he's done, because some of the things he's accomplished are on my bucket list to at least attempt.
Yeah.
So
for sure.
So yeah.
So we had a question here from Brian Cram. He says, what do you think about the evolution what do you think of the evolution of hard enduro in the U.S.? Is it on the fast track and the next big thing? So how do you see I guess I'll summarize. What do you see in the future for the hard enduro here in the United States?
I think hard enduro is definitely growing, definitely on the rise. There are new events popping up, multiple events popping up every year. And I think it's up to us as the enthusiasts, the riders primarily, to kind of direct it to where we want to go.
Yeah.
And what's cool is every hard enduro is a little different as far as structure.
Yep.
I think at the grassroots level, and, this kind of being born in the U.S., you look back to like Last Man Standing, that was a little over 10 years ago. And that was kind of a knockout format, but it was a grueling long race. That was cool, but I mean, it's in the past. And you fast forward today, like TKO is the big grand championship. And that's what we know as like kind of the standard these days. And you've got, hot laps, qualifier rounds, knockout rounds, then a main event that's pretty much like a 30-minute sprint around a short track. And then you've got races that are constantly trying to imitate that, like Rev Limiter in Texas, and the stuff is happening all around us. And then on the flip side, you have what I would like to call real hard enduros popping up, like Battle of the Goats in North Carolina, Sticks and Stones in Idaho. So, hard enduro is growing, and you've got guys that are copying where all the marketing and exposure is, like TKO. And then you got guys that are doing what I would call real hard hardcore racing where you go out in the woods and you just race for hours on end, and there's no games, there's no knockouts, just start, race for a few hours and see who's the best. And I make that point because I've never been a fan of a knockout format. I'm not a fan of lining back up after you've already got your boots wet. I want to start, ride all day, and then when I get done, we're done.
Yeah.
So we're depending on if you're qualifying up tomorrow at TKO, or if you're a pro and you're lining up Sunday, you're in for a lot of different stages of events, and it's tricky when you got so many people are stoked on hard enduro, want to try it, because I don't know how many people are entered for TKO, but I'm guessing we're several hundred, probably over 300. I doubt over 5, but it's hard to line that many people up for one race.
Oh, absolutely.
So, yeah, I probably strayed from the question on that one, but I could talk all day about hard enduro.
So I guess so let's talk about a little bit of the future. As there's more and more series, it's a little impractical to have a 15 race series, right? And there's going to be races like we have the Enduro Fest. You mentioned Sticks and Stones. There's what's the Last Dog Standing, I believe it is, also out in Nevada or California.
Yeah.
Would you like to see one single nationwide series, or would you like to have a like East and West format with maybe like a championship round somewhere kind of in the Midwest? Or
that is quite the question, because we've been juggling that for over a year since we've started the American Hard Enduro series. Because if you look at our championship, I think aside from Rev Limiter, it's all east of the Mississippi.
Yes.
And as anybody that's been around the block, there is wonderful terrain all over the country. Mm-hmm. But then if you take a look at the AMA schedule, as far as off-road goes, there's not a single national championship. There's not a championship that crosses the Mississippi except for outdoor national motocross and supercross.
What about, is Trials not, is that its own thing then? That's not AMA?
Okay. I'm not familiar with Trials, but
because Trials is like the only one that I know of. Well,
okay.
That is a single nationwide, and people have to really haul. The reason I know that, I was talking to Quinn Winsel about his experience with Trials in the past.
Yeah, I'm going to plead ignorance on that. I'm not familiar with, but I've, in the racing circles on full-size enduro bikes, I mean, that's the crowd we're looking at. It's so hard to have a true national series because you have constraints on, what part of the country you can be in, seasonally. Some areas seasonally you don't want to be in. So that really kind of causes you to zigzag around or migrate from north to south and vice versa with the seasons, and then crossing left and right. There's just so much logistics, especially when you look at big events that are happening in each region. It's a mess. So long story short, I mean, unless the sport was so big where there were 15 riders that were salaried and there were teams that were taking equipment from point to point, and then there was enough amateur support, there was enough amateurs that were willing to travel that much. I mean, no other country has a nation as big as ours to even zigzag across so much. So, I mean, we would be traveling as much as, say, in the Enduro World Champion, was it the EWC, like when they bounce around from different countries. That's how big the U.S. is compared to Europe, for comparison's sake. So to answer your question, there is no good answer right now because we're trying to figure that out. But realistically, I foresee an East and a West Coast regional for class points. But then if you are a pro, they will collect points from East and West, and that will be the national championship, just because amateurs want to compete for points. They want to see who's the best.
Yep.
But you can't expect those guys that are working a job like myself to spend weeks driving over the course of a year to try to, it's a matter of who has the most money and time off.
Yeah. And that's kind of my opinion as an amateur, which I always will be, is, well, I'm in Missouri. It's going to be hard for me to hit everything anyways, but there's no way I can go anything out in California. It's just not even in the books. So
yeah, and as I try to be an ambassador for our sport, I haven't raced a hard enduro in California because it's so far, and also it doesn't look attractive. I'm not trying to disrespect anybody's race, but when I look at the obstacles they have that they show on Facebook and stuff, or on, if you look at the outline, the outtakes, it's like, man, there's some weird stuff out there. And I'm an East Coast guy. Everybody's got their strengths and weaknesses. I invest my time and money sensibly to try to do the stuff I like.
Yeah,
But,
absolutely.
But no, that's why I went out on a limb and drove to Idaho. That was such a haul for me, but it was a beautiful race. It was an awesome trip. I want to see that sanctioned the next year with a series, and anybody from the East Coast, I would say, bring your family and make a vacation out of it and go see some of the country. Because and again, I can't attest to some of the other Western races, but that's why I went to that one, to kind of try to recruit it and experience it. So
absolutely. So you've obviously been racing hard enduros this year. Are you doing any other like enduros or hare scramble racing as well?
I am competing in most of the Appalachian Championship Enduro Series. They call ACES.
Okay.
Formerly kind of District 11 here in Southern Ohio. It's not real big, but it's close to home, and they have really awesome quality events. And that, for a local series, there's really good competition. But I had intended on doing some national enduros, but the workload on me to keep it together for hard enduro, stay, recovered and trained and make it to work. I haven't made it to a national enduro yet this year. So it's difficult to lose support with sponsors to make it, put more weight on my shoulders, but I've also lost a lot of expectations. So I just do what I want now, and that's hard enduro.
That's nice. So another question then we had from Brian Cram is, are Shercos the best bike out of the box to compete in hard enduros? If so, why? That's
a great question, and I feel like you may be getting a
does he had, I looked at his Facebook profile, he had a Sherco hat on. Is he like with Sherco? Do you know who that is?
He may be affiliated. But we can just look at the raw facts. Of all the motorcycles out there for off-road, specifically hard enduro, it seems like the only bikes that are truly, you really see in numbers entering these hard enduros are European bikes. I've become really familiar with Sherco after being on them for a few years. And when you look at the factory editions and compare this to any spec sheet on, say the orange bike or the white orange bike, Shercos come with skid plates, solid rotors. They come with cooling fans, coolant catch tanks.
They have coolant fans on the radiator?
Yeah. And not only that, but they have a real playful, chassis. It's good handling, and obviously electric start. You got hydraulic clutch. So, a lot of specs that are, some of those basic specs are common on some of the European manufacturers' bikes, but specifically looking at the factory edition and the SC models, specifically on those, like I said, the solid rotors, skid plates, the cooling system is pretty optimal. It's really hard to overheat one of the bikes. So I think it is, and I think that's and it's funny because when I was racing national enduros, I wanted to get on a Sherco, but the support wasn't there, and I had expressed a notion of interest to do hard enduro, and they're like, it's a race bike, it's not a hard enduro bike, we want to go racing. And then now that hard enduro is in full swing in the States and in front of me, you see so many Shercos going out there being successful, and it's kind of ironic because that seems to be where we're gravitating, is Shercos and hard enduros, because they just work well together.
Yeah. So I listened to Drew Kirby and Will Press, and that's the American Hard Enduro guys out there for people watching. They have their own podcast called American Hard Enduro. But one segment I enjoy of their show is they talk about, they go add one component to their bike, their fictional bike each week or each show, about what's an aftermarket part they think is essential for hard enduro. And I was surprised. It was like the first or second thing they said was a cooling fan on your radiator. And I don't know how many people around here, of course we don't have a lot of hard enduros, mainly hare scrambles and enduros, but I don't know how many people around here have cooling fans, and that's kind of neat to see that, you know, your race bikes is it the SCFs that would have that, or
basically any of the Sherco models, be it a 2 or 4-stroke, if it's a factory edition or an SC, yes, comes with a cooling fan. They all come with the coolant overflow catch tank, which if you're not familiar with that,
no?
as your coolant expands in the radiator,
Yep.
it displaces the small air chamber at the top of the radiator tank. And when that expands to a point where it can no longer go anywhere, it bursts out the cap and you're boiling over.
Yep.
That coolant gets lost. And then as your bike cools down, the coolant condenses and then you have air in the system and eventually it cavitates and your bike overheats. With the coolant catch tank, like on the Sherco, and if you're real familiar with Enduro and motorcycle history, you look back at old KDXs, there's a little canister up underneath the rear fender that that coolant can expand into and be captured. And then when the motorcycle cools back down, it draws it back into the radiator.
Just like a car.
Just like a car. Imagine that. Just like electric start, just like your cars.
Yeah.
It's right. And I actually listened to that one, or I listened to a couple of the American Hard Enduro podcasts, and on that very issue where they were discussing coolant or radiator fan, they also said that one must have
stator.
Along with it is a 220 watt a high output stator, which all the Sherco Enduro bikes have a 220 watt stator, which is ridiculously powerful for an Enduro bike, but for an electric start bike with all the electrical goodies, I've never had an issue with power starting or anything. So that's a big plus.
Yeah. So Enduro cross is kind of it's like a balance here with hard enduro and enduro cross. Have you ever competed in the enduro cross series of any sort?
Yes, I actually made it out to the first round of enduro cross back in, like, was it 2004 ish, when Eric Pernard and Tim Clark, Pernard, not quite sure how you pronounce it. He's the guy that's largely responsible for TKO, actually. Those two individuals teamed up, over 10 years ago to start in enduro cross. And yeah, I made it out there and did that a few times. I did the first series and I didn't do too well. I'm not good at, closed course, small, short races.
Yeah.
Word.
I think after talking to you, it sounds like endurocross is like the bane of your existence when it comes to that style of racing.
It's funny. Max Gersten, he's another. Yeah. Actually, you guys had Max on recently.
We had him on the last 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, he termed me the beast or something here recently. Probably, I think that was referring to myself and my fiance, the Beauty and the Beast. But called me the beast because I like these long, grueling races. Just I like to be strung out in the forest, just on my bike and pushing. So yeah, short course racing. No, I you can have it. It's, even GNCC, pounding 12-mile laps. I get bored after the third lap. So
fair enough.
Yeah.
So question here from Spencer Sutton: how do you train off the bike?
Trying to figure that one out every day.
What do you do for cross training? Or do you?
I do. I definitely do. And I don't think anybody can be competitive in this era without it. I do enjoy mountain biking a lot. I do some mountain biking. I do some strength and endurance strength training in the gym. I even do a little bit of yoga to try to stay mobile. It's, training time is hard to come by, but, the busier you are as a person, you can't appreciate rest enough either. So you can train your face off, but if you're not resting, you're doing damage. So that's something for people who are striving for more sometimes. I was guilty of it for years, if not a decade, is overtraining.
I can attest to that. I'm 37, and I don't know how many times I've started training, and I'm a runner, a distance runner, and I'll start training, want to get back in shape or whatever, and then I hurt myself because I'm going too hard, too fast, not taking the breaks I need. And then I don't train at all, and then I get kind of healthy again, get the urge to start running again, and then I hurt myself. It's like this endless cycle. And so,
yeah, you're not the only one.
and so yes, you're a lot of truth to that when you say rest is almost just as important as the training part, and make sure that if you do start training, ramp it up in a controlled manner.
Yeah. So, and on that topic, not to start a whole nother discussion, but anybody that really truly has questions about it, I don't know the best answer. No, I've worked with a number of great trainers who try to be as fit as possible, and the best trainers are the ones that understand the need for rest and recovery, and depending on what somebody's looking for, like I said, I've worked with nearly a half dozen good trainers, be it guys that are just really good with motorcycle riders that are motorcycle coaches. Steve Hatch is one that I've worked with that's just been phenomenal. He's very, we all know him from the racing world, back when I was a kid. If you're on the West Coast in California, there's a number of them. One guy I worked with actually that may be surprising to some, but sounds familiar to others, is Brian Garahan. But today, at my point in my career, I'm actually working with a cycling coach. His name is Jacob Fetty. He's out of West Virginia, and he seems to be the most educated in just physical, training the human body and for performance. So and he's been the biggest advocate for rest with myself. But anyway, if anybody wants more information on that, they can hit me up and I can steer them towards the right trainer or just give them, a little bit of advice. So,
well, I got a question for you, Nick. What is your favorite bike to ride?
Boy, that's a good question. It really depends on the day. That's a hard question. This goes back to the beginning of our discussion. Is it the 300 4-stroke or the 300 2-stroke? The Sherco has been the most enjoyable bike for me to ride, but I'd say it depends on the track or the course. They're compatible, and I'm sure lap times would show the same. But as far as enjoyment, I love the power of the 2-stroke. I've got a power addiction, so probably the 300 2-stroke. Yeah.
I hear you. All right. And then what is your favorite race to do?
Ooh, another tough question. I'm more of a creature of diversity than just outright favorite. So if I said it was my favorite, the next time I did it, I'd hate it. I've always really loved going up to Michigan and racing in the last couple of years. This year we didn't have it. It was the Mad Moose Hard Enduro in Marquette, Michigan, which you guys from Missouri probably never been to Michigan.
There's the Mad Moose. You said Mad Moose Hard Enduro, or what was it?
Yeah.
Okay, we've had which one? They had an Enduro up there. We've had somebody say it was their favorite Enduro they've competed in.
The Loose Moose National. That's a good one. I can't really answer that question.
So you really enjoyed that race though.
I did. There's diverse terrain. You've got sand, you've got loam, you've got just big slate rock, you've got black mud, more elevation than you would think Michigan would have. It's just kind of thick, dense, indigenous forest, or just whatever. You got trees with leaves on them and pine trees, so it just a little bit of everything. It's just very stimulating to ride in something so diverse. You're not just in a boulder field, you're not just in the desert, but it's everything lush.
Yeah.
So.
All right. So before we let you go, I'm kind of curious now because you say you like things new and different and whatnot, and you've been to the Ozark 100 miler now 4 times. Will we see you back for a 5th?
That is a good question. I knew you'd ask that. It's I want to find out if Jordan Ashburn's going to come, because he's been my favorite competitor there, because it seems to be that after the first moto, it's a race with him and I, and it usually gets close at the end. But if he's not going to make it, I may just enjoy a Thanksgiving at home.
Yeah.
But,
well, we love seeing you there. And then what's the best way to kind of keep up with what you're doing, your activities and whatnot? Is it Instagram, Facebook, Twitter? What do you got?
I'm really losing motivation for social media. Life's too short to pause and take a picture of it, but I try to. It's expected of me, so I try to post some pictures here and there on the Instagram. So I keep your eyes peeled on all hard enduro results, and anytime something really cool happens or I feel weird, I'll get on Instagram. So that is a good way to reach me. I will check it, and we beat all the rest of the hard enduros here. We're running out of them this year, but
yeah. And then finally, so any sponsors you want to give a shout out to?
Yeah. Boy, there's been a number of them throughout the years. I definitely want to thank Sherco USA for supporting me with these motorcycles, as well as I want to thank Clay Stuckey with Sherco Off-Road for getting me on the bikes, and he's been a good friend in the industry. Moose Racing has been a long time sponsor of mine, and Kenda Tires for sponsoring myself, and they're a heavy supporter of the hard enduro movement. For sure. I've got a bunch of great sponsors, Dirt Tricks, Brake Tech, Bulletproof Designs. They make great guards for your bike and hard enduro stuff. And I did drop a line on the BRP chain slider there.
Yes, you did.
Talking about breaking one off, and he said he broke it off with a swing arm, which I mentioned Bulletproof Designs. They make a pretty rad. It's a mount that secures your chain guide more securely to the swing arm via an extra set of bolts. So
and for Missouri people watching the show, it is a Missouri company, so there's that too.
Oh, okay. I actually didn't know that. Well, I appreciate all my sponsors. I really dig trying to support as many American small businesses as possible with rocking those companies. So,
Absolutely.
a lot of my sponsors, I try to keep all the bits and pieces domestic when I can, just like the SXS skid plate glide plates. They're from out of Idaho. I kind of made that connection going out that way. And G2 hand guards, they're out of Illinois. They're not too far from you guys. So, of course, New Tech Mooses and the tubeless systems. I've utilized both in off-road racing, and I can't see needing another supplier to fill your tires. So.
There you go. Well, Nick, thank you for joining us today. I appreciate you taking your time to talk to us, and good luck this weekend with the TKO, and then keep up the good fight with just your input and your inspiration and everything that's going on with the hard enduro. So I do appreciate that, and I think you are changing the sport for the better, and keep it up, and we'll talk to you later, okay?
Appreciate it, and I can respect the Y Rush theme. I guess I should have asked on that, but while I was signing in with you guys, Y Rush, I was looking in the mirror today. I'm getting ready for this race, and I'm not ready. It's Y Rush. I'll get there.
It's have fun with it. It's what the whole idea is. Don't get too excited about stuff. Well, Nick, take care, and good luck.
Thanks for talking.
Bye.
Bye.
All right. And then, so Chris Smith, we kind of talked about BRP and Bulletproof Designs kind of like simultaneously. Bulletproof Design is a Missouri company. They're Kansas City in that general area. Whereas, BRP is in Colorado. I'm not sure where. But anyways, so that was interesting talking to Nick and just getting to know him a little better. And I talked to him at Zinc Ranch, is where just kind of like he was saying, he's parked had his van, he had his tent, and just they're much more approachable than the. It was odd how he said that. The KTM guys, they have like their fence around, and have you been to
I have
ever
not.
seen that? You need to go to Zinc, or they're not taking the semis to the National Enduros this year. But it's kind of interesting to see that they had the Husqvarna and the KTM like Fort, and then like Sherco, Gas, some of the other brands just rolling in. So, but no, it's fun. It's really neat opportunity to see these guys in action. Really, they're just amazing what they can do on a bike. And then Nick is definitely one of the guys that is just awesome. So he was super nice when I talked to him, and in fact, if you watch the Zinc Ranch from 2016, I think it is, I actually interviewed him, and he made it onto the clip, and that was back in, I was terrible, and my videos were just slightly marginally better, and anyways, we've come a long way since then. So yeah, so that was it. So did you learn anything from Nick, or what did you find interesting there?
Well, it's always cool to talk to some of the big guys that, you see at some of these national races and stuff, and just kind of get to know more people.
Yeah, absolutely. So, and that's one thing that's just kind of fun about this show, is just getting to know people.
Yeah.
It's like talking to Max this past week. We kind of, neat how it's a little more relatable now that he's saying that, yeah, Max says the nickname for Nick is the Beast. So,
yeah.
And, but yeah, I think so do you ever get on Instagram or anything like that, or?
I do occasionally, but I don't never do anything with my bike on there.
No? I was going to say, one of my favorite, I kind of scroll through and been so busy lately, haven't, but one of my favorite posts from this past week was Colton Haker's post. I don't know if anybody saw that or not, but he was talking about his off season that he had, where he raced a number of races. And did you hear about any of the drama with the Max's Super Enduro or whatever?
Yep.
So he said he won 90% of his races all without Alfredo's help. So I was like, I kind of respect that a little bit, how he's hating on the haters, but at the same time kind of giving himself a little bit of a hard time as well. So I got a kick out of that. So yeah, check that out if you're ever on social media, and check out Colton Haker's post there. Enjoyed that. This past weekend, do you follow the National Enduro scene? What goes on in any of the races?
I try to keep up with like Noah and all them.
Okay.
So
so this past weekend was the full gas sprint enduro rock crusher. As far as I know, we didn't have any local racers there. Noah, the guys that would have been were here in Missouri. James King didn't race at all. I believe he took delivery of his ISD e-bike. So he got that from, so this past weekend he got that ready, and now he has like to the end of this month to get that on a crate heading for Portugal. So as far as I know, the guys that would be over there and wherever Rock Crusher is, we're not there. But as far as the results go, again, it's getting kind of like a little bit of broken record, but top three there was Caleb Russell, Thad Duvall, and then Josh Strang. So it's they've been the top three pretty much for the whole series. Every now and then you'll have Jordan Ashburn or somebody else pop in there. Then Pro 2, you had Evan Smith, Jesse Ansley, and Mike Witowski. And then the only difference there, sometimes Mike's, no, really, Jesse is actually turned on. He's done quite a bit. He's improved quite a bit this year, I do believe. And then again, Taylor Jones, Mackenzie Tricker, and then Becca Sheets was the top three women there. So that's
impressive, yeah.
Well, yeah, I like seeing more battles.
Yeah.
And right now it seems like actually I didn't look at the points for the pro women. But like Evan Smith and Caleb Russell, like they have this thing tied up, right? And I'm like, I want to see something closer to the top. Like Stu Baylor in the National Enduro Series, he has that pretty well wrapped up, I think. Grant is on fire. Unfortunately, he had shoulder surgery last fall, and so that's not actually. So he's behind, right? Yeah. And the points goes. But unless Stu just really screws up, it's his series to lose at this point. Whereas Caleb Russell, he can't even lose the series. He has the series like tied. I mean he's won it for the year already. It's kind of neat seeing the pro women class because depending on what series it is, like some women do better than others. They're all three racing like all three. And so like Becca Sheets typically does the best in the Enduro series, whereas Taylor and Mackenzie do better in the GNCC stuff. And so it's just interesting, that dynamic. So that's kind of like of the pro classes right now. I believe that's the one to watch. If you guys are watching out there, I'm kind of curious where you guys are going to be at because this weekend there's, as far as I know, there's two races you could be at. You can be either driving over to apparently Tennessee right now to race tomorrow, or if you qualified for Saturday, and then if you're really good, you can get into Sunday's races, or you could be heading up north of Kansas City to the Moore race at Knobby Creek in New Florence, Missouri. Are you going to be going?
I will not be this weekend, no.
I will be there.
Will you?
I will be. I do intend to be there. I don't know why I wouldn't be. Got some little more maintenance to do on my bike, and I need to see if I can find a Cycra Pro brand handguards tomorrow. So that's the plan, and then get those in. I got some. That's really maybe air filter. We'll see. But so yeah, that's what's going on there, and just a lot of fun. Did you follow the Romaniacs at all?
I did follow them.
You did.
Bit, yes.
So who do you root for?
Jarvis, all the way.
You're a Jarvis dude.
All the way.
Fist bump there. All right. Well, so I would root for Cody Webb or any other American. So Keith Curtis, the guy. So we mentioned Sticks and Stones. Were you aware of that race?
I was not. No.
Okay, so it's in Idaho. Keith Curtis is a more well known in the snowmobile world, but I think he's going to be, as hard enduro grows, I think he's probably going to have more of a name in off-road racing because he won the Sticks and Stones.
Really?
So he actually beat Colton Haker there. He beat Nick Fahringer, everybody, right? I mean, he won. He ended up getting 18th at Romaniacs. So in the gold division, right?
Oh, wow.
That's the top. That's what Manuel Lettenbichler's in. That's what the Graham Jarvis is in. Alfredo Gomez is all those guys. So the fact that he got 18th and he finished, amazing, right? He has been in the past a top 10 finisher. Just didn't have the luck this year. So you're rooting for. Yeah, Graham Jarvis. Well, you're young. Why Graham for you?
I don't know. I guess I'm rooting for the old man for some reason.
Okay, because see, I root for Graham because I'm 37 or 36, 37 here in 2 days. I root for him because I was like, all right, yeah, sure, I got a late start, right, in racing. Not all hope is lost, right? I mean, us old. I'm 37. I'm not really that old. I'm a young buck still. No, not much older than you. There's hope, like don't give up, keep pushing, have fun with it, right? And so that's why I definitely root for Graham Jarvis. And yeah, he got third this past weekend. Manuel Lettenbichler. So I mean he's young for you still, I think. Manny is. Yeah, I forget. Well, his dad just stopped racing. And Andreas Lettenbichler. Now you're like how old is Johnny Walker? I forget.
Sure.
I know. They're all so maybe Manny's a little closer. Wade Young's about your age, I think. I was surprised. You said, well,
I know.
Jarvis is the man. But yeah, so Manny, he's coming on. It seems like since Johnny Walker, since he hurt himself at was it the Megawatt 111 last year or whatever, he hasn't been as dominant as he was prior to. I'm kind of curious if he has any lingering issues or what's going on because he just wasn't on the radar. He was there. He's top 10, obviously, but just not that level. So, anyways, kind of curious. Hopefully, he picks it up and gets up there. But yeah, so he's another one of my favorites is Johnny Walker. But yeah, I'm definitely a Graham Jarvis guy. What about Taddy? You a Taddy fan?
Yeah.
Yeah, he retired. He came back. He's pulling like a Michael Jordan,
Can't make his mind up, yeah.
Yeah, but I'm super excited for him. Kind of want to root for him now because he's committed to the 3 Enduro Cross series we have. So I'm like, yeah, because I'm excited for that because I hate watching when somebody just goes out and just dominates, right? Yeah. So I was like, oh man, with Cody out, it's not gonna be exciting because Colton's just gonna go out and win, So now he's got some competition, and I'm excited for Enduro Cross. And then we got like the top 2 guys, and then of course we got the Max Gerstens, the Tristan Harts, the Ty Tremaines, and all those guys. And Enduro Cross, I'm excited. But yeah, Teddy got 4th, and then and then Alfredo Gomez, the guy that helped Colton Haker win his Supercross championship. He was 2nd. So, anyways, that's what's going on. You got anything else?
I do not.
I want to say thank you to your lovely wife, Jordan.
I do want to say thanks to my wife. She let me come here instead of mow the yard. So.
Oh, really? My wife she wants me to go weed whack. We got this patch of woods over here, and I just I weed whack is my mowing. So I've been doing that, and what she's also been saying is I need to fold my laundry and put it away. So I better go do that once this is over. But no, thank you for coming on.
Yep.
I do appreciate it. Nick Fahringer, awesome. I really enjoyed that. Thank you guys for listening, for watching, for whatever you're doing, however you guys consume this. Do me a favor, if you are definitely, especially if you're listening to this as a podcast, subscribe, tell other people about it, share, spread the word. And I'm trying to grow it, but I can't grow it without you guys. I try to provide the best show I can, but I need you guys to tell people about it. So that's what I got. Anyways, I'm Charlie Hawkins.
Phoenix.
That's Joaquin Phoenix. No, Phoenix Wolf. Anyways, we'll see you guys next